This video is for the two examples from the 3.3 lecture notes that we have. So let's make sure you have that out and we can go through that. We'll be using StatCrunch and a calculator here to do this. And so let's go ahead and take a look at 3.3, measures of central tendency, which is similar to chapter 3.1. And so what we're looking at here is a very special situation in the first case where we're going to look for the mean. We're going to look for the mean for a set of data that is grouped already. And so in this case here, you have grouped data. So you can see group meaning that I don't have the raw data. And so you want to make note of this first question here. What do we do to find the mean when we have raw data that's already summarized as group data? So we've already have it in this form and we don't have all the raw data. So what we need to do is summarize it a different way. So because we don't have the actual values, what we do is we approximate them. And so you can see here we have a complicated formula here that we will not be doing by hand. We'll be using StatCrunch to do that. But I want to make sure, again, you're familiar with it. All we're doing is you have your class here, and then the formula is to take the midpoint of each class, multiply by your frequency, how often we have a value in that class. And again, we don't have the exact value, so all we can do is approximate, and that's what we're doing here. And so in this case, here's the data. The data is already entered into StatCrunch right here. Where is it? Right here in terms of it. You can download that data. So here's the data. And in order to do group data, I want to point you to, in every section of the textbook at the end, before the questions, you'll see a technology step-by-step in there. It tells you how to do use StatCrunch for the different operations that we have in this in each section. So in this case, we want to find summary stats of grouped or bin data. And so we'll go there, and then you're going to choose the right columns. And in the end, select the consecutive lower limits to radio button. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we want to find the average of this data. The problem is it's grouped. So we go to summary stats and you go to grouped or binned. Bin is again what we call the bars in histogram. And so we have grouped data already, and then you select the bins is the class, frequency is the counts. And then in the instructions, it said choose consecutive lower limits, as it said in the instructions here. And then we want the mean. We could also calculate standard deviation using this, which will give us approximation, and just hit compute. And when you do that, you get the approximations for this, and that would then be the answer for our notes here. So you end up with that, and so you should have this in your notes. And so you go back to your notes here, and let's go ahead and enter in that information that we just got from StatCrunch. There it is. And so on our notes here, this is what you should have using the bin or group data. This is what you would do, and again, you can follow those instructions. So that's the first example. The second example in this case is another specific called computing weighted mean. And we're specifically just going to use it for our GPA example. And the weighted mean is when you have kind of values. Like I said, the weighted mean of variables is found by multiplying each value of the variable by its corresponding weight. And so in a good example of this weighted mean is with college GPAs. And so you remember an A is 4, B is 3, C is 2, D is 1, F is 0. But in high school, and usually you just do a simple calculation. All the grades are equal in weight. But in college, your grades are not equal in weight. It all depends upon the number of units, and so your GPA is computed differently. And so it's the weight times your X value, all added up together, divided by the total of weights. And so in this case here, in this example, you have your grades here, the number of hours or units for that class. And so to do this example, you'll need a calculator. We cannot do this on StatCrunch. So weighted mean, just make a note, cannot do on StatCrunch. It does a lot, but it doesn't do the weighted mean, or haven't found a way to do that. And so to get our answer here in this case, you would follow that formula up here. We have our x and w values, and so it's the sum of the w, so it'd be 4. In this case, let me color this up so we can see. This would be 4, 3, 3, 5, and 1. So it's 4 times the a that you got, plus 3 times the b that you got, plus 3 times the a you got, plus 5 times the c you got, plus 1 times the a you got. And in those places, for the a you would put a 4, for the b you put a 3, for the a you put a 4, for the c you put a 2 for the 5 units, and for the a you put a 4. And then all of that is going to be divided by the sum of all the w's. And so in this case, that's 7, 10, 15, 16. So in this case, your weighted, or your GPA in this case is going to be equal to what we have here. 16 plus 9 is 25, plus 12 is 37, plus 7, 44, plus 4. So it's 48 divided by 16. And so you end up with a 3.0 grade point average. And so this is an example of the weighted mean. And that's it. Those are your 2 examples. Go ahead and, of course, try your problems on your written homework and on your online homework. That's it.